Hello class, welcome back. In our last video lecture, we discussed our say mean matter chart. We basically took information from each document, A, document B, and D, and we transferred it to the chart, quote word for word, then we explained it, then we argued how that piece of information or quote um, went back to the main idea of that particular Enlightenment thinker, either if it was John Locke and the individual freedom to choose your government, Voltaire, your individual freedom to choose your religion, or Mary Wollstonecraft's idea of gender equality. And all three Enlightenment thinkers' main idea of individual rights and freedoms improving society rather than having a government such as a monarchy, which holds the person back and doesn't allow them to have rights and freedoms. So now what we are going to do is we are going to focus on our outline. And we are almost finished with this entire DBQ. This is our second to last step before we actually write our 5-paragraph essay. I've already mentioned in the previous lecture that we've already done the toughest part, which is analyzing the documents. So now what we are going to do is we are going to fill out our outline using our say mean matter chart. And if you did it correctly, this should be a piece of cake. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to go over our introduction, then our conclusion. I know we're going to go out of order a little bit. And then I'm going to move on to body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. And that will conclude our lecture on our outline. So looking at our introduction has 4 parts. Okay, it has a hook, it has background information, and it has restatement of the main question. Remember, our main question, guys, is the Enlightenment philosophers. What was their main idea? And then finally, most importantly, our thesis statement. So once again, we have 4 parts to our introduction. So if you notice on the left-hand side right here, which I'm highlighting right now, I'm explaining each part of the introduction. And then after I explain it, you are going to write each part on the lines to the right, which is being highlighted right now. So let's start off with a hook first. Hook is the first sentence of your entire essay. It must catch the reader's attention. It needs to be something catchy about the Enlightenment. It cannot be a random sentence, guys. It can't be a random piece of information. Obviously, we are talking about the Enlightenment. We're talking about 3 Enlightenment thinkers. We're talking about how their main idea of individual rights and freedoms improves societies. So you have to make sure that your first sentence has to do with that topic. Now, our background. The background should cover the who, what, where, and why on the Enlightenment. For the background, guys, you probably should use the background essay, which is the front page of the packet that we got for our documents A, B, and D. That kind of sets us up for what the essay is about, where it takes place maybe, who's involved, and so on. The third part is restatement of the main question. And remember, the main question is the Enlightenment philosophers. What was their main idea? So what I want you guys to do is I want you to think of this question that is highlighted. And I want you to reword this question somehow. I don't want you to write the question word for word that you see on the left. You need to reword it. And then finally, our thesis statement. And our thesis statement is what we are trying to prove or argue in this essay. It also answers the main question. Okay? So down here, I want you to read this. I'm going to highlight it. Your thesis statement needs to include how the Enlightenment philosophers wanted individual freedom for people in society, especially in the areas of government, religion, and equality for women. So what you guys are going to do is you will write your hook on these lines, you will write your background information on these lines, you will write your restatement of your main question on this line, and then finally, most importantly, your thesis statement. Moving on to the conclusion, I've already mentioned that we're going to go out of order, but that's okay. Your conclusion needs to include the following: restatement of the question and the thesis statement. You also need to mention the major points for each Enlightenment philosopher. Now, what I did right here in bold italicized font is I basically wrote out the conclusion for you guys. And what you guys are to do is fill in the blanks. Okay? I'm not going to fill them in for you. I'm hoping that you know what to fill in the blanks since we've gone over this several times. But make sure that you understand that everything in bold / italicized print is to be written as your conclusion. And make sure that you are filling in the correct blanks. The blanks must be filled in. So I'm going to read this, but I'm going to leave the blanks out, and you're going to have to fill them in. So our conclusion says the Enlightenment thinkers had many different ideas, but what were they? They all shared one main idea, that blank rights and freedoms were important to improve blank. John Locke believed in the individual freedom to choose one's blank. Voltaire believed that people should have the right to freedom of blank. Finally, Mary Wollstonecraft believed that blank should have individual freedoms that are equal to blank. Each philosopher had their own beliefs and opinions, but they all shared a common goal. So once again, guys, this right here is your conclusion. It is pretty much written for you. You just need to fill in the correct blanks. You will write that word for word. Okay, moving on to our body paragraph. Now, of course, body paragraph number 1, which is on document A, has to do with John Locke. And John Locke's main idea of freedom to pick or choose your own government. Okay? So each body paragraph, guys, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts to it. And what I did is I explained each of the 5 parts on the left-hand side that I just highlighted. And then from there, you are going to fill in these blanks on the right-hand side. So let me explain each part. Our topic sentence is the first sentence of the body paragraph. It states what the paragraph is all about. So on the right-hand side, if you guys see, here's our topic sentence. John Locke argued that individual freedom to choose your own blank was the best for society. That is your topic sentence. Everyone will use that topic sentence, but you need to fill in the blank. So anything that is in bold, anything that is italicized, you will write down as your paragraph in your essay. Okay, moving on to evidence number 1. Remember, guys, evidence is our quote or our information that we are getting from each document. So evidence number 1 is the quote from document A that would best represent how individual freedom to choose your own government is best for society. Now, guys, when you're choosing your evidence, you have 2 options. You can either look at the say box, and remember the say box is the actual quote word for word, or you can write down the explanation of that quote, which is our mean box. It doesn't matter what you do, quote or the explanation of that quote. And remember, the explanation would just be our annotations that we made on each document. But no matter what, if you get it from the say box or if you get it from the mean box, you always have to cite it. So this is how evidence number one is going to read. Locke first argued that, and then you see these blank lines. These blank lines, guys, is where you will write down your first quote. And if you notice right here, when you are finished with that quote, in parentheses, you will write down Doc A. You have to cite it. If you don't cite it, you will not get credit. Okay? So you will insert quote number one on those lines. And remember, guys, you can use the quote word for word, which is a say box, or you can write down the explanation of that quote, which is the mean box. Either one is fine. Moving on to the third part of our body paragraph. Argument number one. Explain how evidence number one backs up the idea that freedom of government is the best for society. Okay? So looking over here, argument number one, you guys are going to write this word for word in your paragraph when you write your essay. Remember, anything that is in italicized and bold goes in your essay. This statement from John Locke explains how the freedom to choose your own government is important for society because on these lines, you are arguing, you are giving your explanation how that piece of information or quote explains and shows how his idea of freedom to choose your own government is the best for society. Once again, you are going to use the matter box for this. Okay, so hopefully we see a trend here, guys. If you filled out your Save Me Matter chart correctly, this outline should be a piece of cake. All right, looking at our fourth part of our body paragraph number one. You are going to get your second quote. Okay, another quote from document A that would best represent how individual freedom to choose your own government is best for society. Once again, guys, you have your two choices. You can either write the quote word for word, which is the say box, or you can write the explanation of the quote, which would be the mean box. So this is how it would read. Locke also states, and then on the blank lines, guys, you will write down your second quote. And if you notice, once again, right here, after your quote, in parentheses, you have to cite it, Doc A. Finally, you are going to write down, oh, excuse me, I need to go back here. You will write down your second quote, cite it, Doc A, and then you will finish it with which backs up the idea that freedom to choose one's government is the best of society. So once again, guys, anything in bold or italicized, you will write word for word in your paragraph. Finally, this is our last part of body paragraph number one, and it's our second argument. And it reads as follows. Being able to choose your own government is important because, once again, guys, you got to give your argument, you got to give your explanation, and that is coming from the matter box for document A on John Locke. So moving on, I want to take a look at this bottom part right here. After you fill in all the blanks from your Save Me Matter chart, for all of body paragraph number one, you will combine the bold and italicize and fill in the blanks to form your paragraphs. So guys, really quick, when this is all completely filled out, what I'm highlighting right here, everything that is in bold, everything that is italicized, and all of your fill in the blanks is your actual paragraph that you will write word for word in your essay. I'm not going to explain body paragraph number 2, and I'm not going to explain body paragraph number 3 because it is almost identical. Actually, it is identical to the directions for body paragraph number 1, number 1 on John Locke. You just need to follow the same directions. Once you guys have done that, you will have 5 paragraphs. And what you will do is you will take this outline and you will form your 5-paragraph essay using everything that you wrote down on the right hand side. And once again, guys, if it is not in bold, if it is not italicized, and if it's not fill in the blanks, you are not writing it down in your paragraphs. Please go back if you need to and listen to this video lecture again on our outline for our DBQ on the Enlightenment thinkers. Please do this correctly. Once again, guys, if you do this correctly, it will make your writing of the essay the easiest part. So that will go ahead and conclude